Where did you come up with the name Mother Flushers?
It's a kind of a long story. It's pretty funny actually. Mother Flusher's kind of, I know it sounds like super edgy, but it was a shot in the dark because I didn't think it'd be this far. It'd make it this far anyway.
Like, how are you attracting people?
Hiring people, I had a lot of friends, that were plumbers for another company, and just started with trustworthy people, and you start to build a really tight knit crew of people that really aren't in it because, I mean, obviously they need a job, and you want to make sure that you provide a safe place to work. Getting people that want to be here, and that's hard to do.
All right. Welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast, where we spotlight top pros in the home service industry. I'm your host, Roland Leitenberg, co-founder of House Call Pro. Today, we're super excited to have Jake Cordero on. He's the owner of Mother Flushers Plumbing. You heard that right, Mother's Flushers Plumbing. On the show, Jacob has successfully built his plumbing company from the ground up over the past 4 years, expanding his team to over 7 employees, a fleet of 5 trucks, and a revenue goal of $2 million in 2024. And he's even building out new branches. There's a ton on his plate. He's got a bunch of great growth goals. His journey in the plumbing industry and his use of social media for business growth are sure to inspire. Jake, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? Hope everyone's having a good day today. I'm Jake with Mother Flushers Plumbing. Our company is 4 years old. It actually just turned 4 years old, August 8th. We've grown pretty drastically and tremendously since then, and things are changing every day. So it's been really fun, been an adventure, and take it day by day.
I'm excited to ask you a whole bunch of questions. I'm so curious about so many different aspects of your business. Well, tell me about the founding story, and where did you come up with the name Mother Flushers?
It's a kind of a long story. It's pretty funny actually. I never thought that I was going to be an owner of a plumbing company. I never thought that I would be doing anything like this. And so Mother Flushers kind of, I know it sounds like super edgy, but it was a shot in the dark because I didn't think it'd be this far. It'd make it this far anyway. Started off working for the military, actually. I was a service plumber for the military. Never worked for a service plumbing company before out in like the field helping out the regular public. So I had no idea what that even entailed or what that even looked like. But at the military base, we kind of handled everything I handled all kinds of different commodes, toilets, water heaters, you name it. So I learned pretty quickly there. Ended up getting my contractor's license. I needed a name for it, and I didn't think this was going to happen. So, couple of drinks with some buddies one day, having pizza, and I was like, "Hey guys, I need a name, and I don't want it to just be like Jake's Plumbing. I want it like just something funny, Yeah. And they're like Mother Flushers, and we kind of all came up with the name. And I went home that day, and I made a logo. I thought I was like, "Hey, check this out! It came out pretty cool," and ran it. Made some business cards with it. A couple months later, it's snowballing, it's rolling. Now the cards are everywhere. We're getting calls left and right. And I just ran with it,
Yeah, it's funny. Like sometimes, the best creativity comes over just a round of drinks with some buddies, and then all of a sudden. But I think it's super memorable. It's a great brand. It is kind of edgy. When you read it, you're like, wait, what? Oh, motherfucker! Oh, okay, I got it. But it inspires, some sort of expectation, with the homeowner. Like, okay, this is gonna be a good company to deal with. They don't take themselves too seriously, but they look really professional. And it looks buttoned up because it's not a janky logo. It's legit.
So that was a big deal, right? And I had to make that decision pretty quickly when I decided that I was going to actually quit my job and do Mother Flushers full time. And like I said, that was August 8th, 2020, when I decided to quit my job and make this gung ho. And I could have just been a white truck with a magnet on the side that said Mother Flushers, spray painted black on there, and probably no one would have taken it seriously. So looking really professional was one of the biggest parts. We had to own up to it, and it's a silly name. So it has to be the opposite, right? You have to be extra professional pretty much at all times. So we did have to button it up. The vans are perfectly wrapped. We have great branding. Everything has to look professional, concise. Your uniforms are on point. Real clean guys, clean cut crew. All the tools are clean when you show up. We speak real professionally, and there's a lot of aesthetics that we had to beat to make sure that they didn't use our name in vain, because it's really easy to do.
Yeah, for sure. And it could go the other way, right? Which is like, oh, that's a joke, But the reality is just like the black, the white, the red, everything's crisp and clean. The truck's looking good. The guys are looking good. I feel like that all goes a really long way. What are some things that, you got started a little bit, a couple months after COVID really started booming. Do you feel like that played any kind of role in speeding things up or slowing things down, or what did it make it any easier or harder to make the decision to leave your current job and start this thing?
Little difficult to say. When I was at the base, it was weird times because it was kind of empty there,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw some scary stuff. At the National Training Center, there was tents moving in and all kinds of stuff, and you hear rumors and things, like the world's going to end and stuff. And the military kind of knows first, so it was pretty scary times. And when I decided to quit, I was getting lots of calls already. I was like getting too much work outside to even feel like I needed to show up to work. So I kind of took that opportunity to jump. I wasn't even really thinking about COVID at the time, or like what that was affecting, or if this train was going to last.
Sure.
And looking back now, things were really fast when COVID happened, and I think other service people will say the same, that we were all really busy during that time.
Yeah.
I didn't know, though. I didn't work for another service plumbing company, so I didn't know what that even looked like until COVID ended and everything kind of started leveling out. That I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
What's going on? Did I make a good decision? Should I backtrack? Or should I push forward and try and gravitate towards this and make new decisions and change the game?
For sure. No, and obviously you've done really well for yourself. You got a bunch of crew, you got trucks on the road. What do you think from like a hiring perspective? Where are you finding great people to work for you? And we'll talk a little bit about the social side of things, but like how are you attracting people?
So it's an interesting question, right? And I do want to be really picky about it because our company did grow very quickly, and I did have a lot of competition companies that were trying to figure out who I was, because a lot of companies that start around here, they've normally worked for one of the bigger companies around this area before someone decided to branch off and start their own. But
Hmm.
when I started Mother Flushers and we started gaining a lot of traction, nobody knew who I was, especially in my area. So everyone was trying to figure out, like, did he work for this guy? Did he work for that guy? I started hearing things at the supply houses, rumors. People think I'm part of the cartel or something, or a plant. And I heard all kinds of crazy stories. And it's really just, I came from the military base and we were all sheltered over there. So no one really knew how this happened or where it started from. And I didn't really get a whole lot of help from a lot of other companies around here. So I kind of had to figure out everything on my own.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I didn't really trust. I kind of got a sour taste in my mouth from some of the companies and people trying to like infiltrate me, and figure out where I was coming from. They thought I was rich because the marketing was blowing up really quickly, and it was just me eating top ramen and forking over every dime I had, into making T-shirts to give out to people. Um,
Yeah.
and it was a little worrisome, but hiring people, I had a lot of friends, that were plumbers for another company, and just started with trustworthy people, and you start to build a really tight knit crew of people that really aren't in it because, I mean, obviously they need a job, and you want to make sure that you provide a safe place to work,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
getting people that want to be here, and that's hard to do. They want to take you seriously, first of all, so like, that goes all the way back to being clean and tidied up and stuff. So, hey, Mother Flush is a really cool name, and it's a great place to work. We offer insurance benefits. We have workers' comp, obviously, and we take care of all of our guys. Everybody has everything they need. All the tools are provided for them, and people want to be here. So now we get calls, I don't know, 10 times a week right now with resumes. And we're always hiring, so we're always collecting resumes, and we're always looking for the best candidates for the job. Social media definitely helps a whole lot,
Sure.
and people want to be where the next best place is, and it's humbling to know that people want to be here for a reason.
Yeah, and I think a golden nugget you just dropped, but it was like really casual, which is like you're always hiring. And so if there's like the right person, you're always collecting a resume because you never know, when I mean, we talked a little bit about pre-show here, but opening up multiple branches, getting a license in another state, and when you're looking to expand quick and do it, now, not have to like build a whole like pipeline, you already have been stockpiling for months and months and months beforehand.
Right. It's really important to do that, for anyone listening too. If, you can't just be like, hey, we're not hiring right now. We're not hiring right now. You may not be hiring right now, but what you should do is be collecting resumes, because you don't know when you're going to need the help.
Mhm.
And if you already have a stockpile, it's easier to have it than not need it, than need it and not have it. So
Mhm.
if you have a stockpile of resumes, you'd be like, oh man, I need to hire like 3 guys tomorrow. What do I do? go through your resume stack and be like, these guys already have interests. Go through them first. Go through, check each one, give them all a call. It's just a cold call. Be like, hey, are you still interested? Are you looking for a job? I like your resume. I've seen it. What's going on? Do you want to come in for an interview? And we do interviews like that all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. And you got to find the people that match your crew.
Yeah, and look, like even if they're a couple months old, it's
Right.
okay. A lot of people are like, well, are they going to have another job? Who cares if they have another job? you know, like
Yeah.
talk to
Good for
them.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
like
calling.
that's okay. And by the way, if they found another job, that's probably a good indication that they're hire worthy because someone hired them. Not all
Right.
reputable businesses, but I would say like that's a great indicator of like they made it through some other process.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit harder to hire them because they already have a current job, but they applied in the first place. And if you have got that strong brand and that strong presence like you guys have, it's probably easy to kind of have that conversation and at least just, say, hey, look, I'm just looking to explore here. Are you still open to
Yeah.
hearing about other opportunities? That's it. It's a simple cold call.
Definitely, just an offer, and
Yeah.
see where they're at, pick their brain, and we're an open book. If you ask around town and stuff, I'm open. I'm open to help. Sometimes these guys will even call and ask for advice, like, "Hey, what do you? I applied for this company too. They want to hire me. What do you think?" And be like, "Yeah, like I can't pick you up right now, but I think they're great. You should definitely go over there and try them out."
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I actually have people that I've interviewed personally that I really liked, and I've called friends and been like, "Hey, are you hiring? Because I have a guy sitting in front of me that I think would be great for you." And they've taken my word for it, and they're doing fantastic over there. And I've helped people out like that too. So I have no quarrel. Like, there's no such thing as like competition like that. You need it. There's plenty of work for everybody, and enemies are worse to have. You don't
Totally.
want to have.
Yeah, I think that sets you kind of in a unique position because I feel like a lot of pros, especially like in the same industry, in the same area, are rather, cagey and, defensive and, see everyone as their competition. But the reality is like, if you're just doing the right thing and helping these people, they'll remember. And whether you need them right now or later or who knows what, or you've got overflow, there's always ways to get referrals, both ways, and building that in your local area is super, super important. And you've done a great job of, having that, rising tide floats all boats kind of mentality. And it's tough to have, especially in a kind of a cutthroat industry, especially in
Yeah,
the location that you guys are in, kind of like in that Sacramento area. But it makes a whole lot of sense.
yeah, for sure. And expanding is, it's kind of rinse and repeat. And we're also, uh, at least for me, some of the areas I've opened I've never even been to before. So I'm trying to learn like a whole new city and a whole new advantage, and everywhere works differently. There's like a whole new genre of people almost. It's like listening to a song for the first time or a type of music you've never heard before, and it's just so different. Sacramento and Modesto are our newest locations, and they're both in California. I'm in California right now, and it still feels like I'm upside down when I go over there.
You're like, what's going on? And those are huge cities, those are massive. What from like an expansion perspective, what is, you can, some pros are like, oh, I just want to really like dominate my area and just do really well there. You're obviously doing well, plus you're expanding. Like, when do you know to expand? Is it just that you start receiving calls from that area and you're like, I don't know, let me see if I can get someone out there, and you're referring, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to set up a location, or like, what is causing you to think this way? Because I feel like it's a little bit abnormal in a very good way.
To be honest, I don't know if I'm the right guy to answer that question because I don't think I have a good answer for it. But
Yeah.
I've always been the type of guy that I don't like to. Same thing about the resumes, right? I don't like to close doors that don't present themselves. But I do want to keep them. I want to keep the option open for them. I had a unique opportunity where a door opened for a new location in Sacramento, and we talked about how that was going to work, right? And that's a scary thing. Especially, I can tell you right now, I still don't know if I did it right or if I'm doing it the right way, but it's working so far. So I don't have a reason to think otherwise. And this is unorthodox, and it is weird, and social media is new as it is, right? So I might be one of the first that's even doing it this way, and I'll be the pioneer for it. I'm not saying I'm doing it right, but maybe someone else can do it better, and I'll follow along. Hopefully, please do try it yourself and see if it works, and show me how, so that I can follow the lead. You won't make me mad, I promise. Um,
Yeah.
so Sacramento door opened up, and I kind of thought about it like I do want to dominate my area, and we are for the most part, doing pretty well in our area. We're considered one of the big three up here now,
Mhm.
and that's pretty incredible considering the other two guys that are way bigger than me right now have been around for 2 decades at least. So to climb up the ladder past 70 other plumbing companies plus that are, one man vans that are in my area and shooting to number three in 4 years is kind of a statement that we made very quickly. Opening up a new location and branching out, I kind of looked at it like it's just money. I mean, what do I have to lose? What if it doesn't work? Then I lose out on that money. I mean, that's kind of it. Then I kind of wash my hands with it, and we say, well, at least we tried.
Mm.
But if I never try and I let the opportunity pass by, would I really be kicking myself in the butt? Like, man, we could have been a part of that. We could have tried it out. So I mean, I was like, let's try it. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
I lose a van and I have bad credit for 2 years.
What's the worst that can happen? I mean, I feel like a lot of your success is just based upon just the mentality that you have and the growth mindset that you have, where it's like, you know what, I'm only gonna learn if I do something, and if I fail, I'm still learning. And so really there's no failure. It's just, dig on my credit, or what, or even not that. It's a layout of some money, and building a business is a high risk activity, and the ones that will succeed greatly are the ones taking the biggest risks. So,
Yep.
it's proportional to what you're doing. If you're not taking a lot of big risks, don't be surprised if you're not seeing huge success, because, those things are correlated.
I think about that, and I think about that fairly often. I've said it a couple times. We're 4 years old, right? And you think about Microsoft or Amazon or something, or how long does it take for them to get as big as they are? Does it take 30 years? Do I have to be doing this for 30 years before Mother Flushers is the biggest plumbing company in the world?
Hmm.
What does it actually take for me to get to that point? And why not right now? What if I did it in 5 years and we became the biggest plumbing company in the world? How would I make that happen if I didn't take these opportunities that presented themselves?
That's right.
Whether that's a possibility or not, I wouldn't know. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I guess I'll know when it happens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the doors keep opening, and honestly, my phone blows up every day, and we have like 10 inquiries now for across the United States. Um, this could end up being one of those things. And if you're a listener and you think you could help me in that aspect, please shoot me a DM and help me out. And I'm willing to listen. If you're a lawyer or a attorney at law for franchise opportunities, then reach out to me.
There you go. Yeah, especially I mean, state of California isn't easy, and there's some other states that aren't easy. But getting that thing up and rolling, I feel like if there's an opportunity, you're definitely going for it. And then I also feel like not enough pros think like you, which is like, if not who, why not me? Like I don't know. And then the third piece, which is probably the most important thing, is that you seem to be very shameless, and not able to be embarrassed, and also know that you don't know anything, which is actually the best learner mindset, which is like, I don't know anything. I'm just trying it. Maybe it worked. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at, and I'm willing to help too. I've don't get me wrong. It's not like I've laid the golden egg. I've failed a lot, and I've spent a lot of money on things that just didn't work. We get cold calls all the time with somebody trying to sell me something that says like, "Hey, we can help your business with this or that." And at the beginning, I bought all of it. Like, oh, what? Like, I want to be in this magazine. It sounds really cool. It's $500 a month or whatever. Didn't get a single call from whatever it was, and there goes $10,000. I just blew it. It just went away. It didn't work. So,
Yeah.
and now I can help out new companies by telling them like, hey, like this is what worked for me. This is what didn't work for me. Here, you can have it. Like, try it. It's up to you.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, and open sourcing that, and then also sharing it on social media is super important, because I feel like that opens you up to other people that have other ideas that are working, that maybe will reach out, that will DM you, give you new ideas. Speaking of social media, you and your company and your other techs, you guys are doing so well. How did you get started? And for pros that are skeptical about, posting every day and like investing 30 minutes to make, a 30-second clip, I like, how do they justify the ROI? Like, how? Like, how does this all work? Like, make this make sense.
So for me, at least my aspect, that kind of came opposite for most people. I didn't really try and get big on social media. I just was myself. My name started carrying itself across the board casually as it was. I started showing up at conferences, and I started getting recognized for the things that I was already doing. Rigid definitely helped me out. They reached out to me first, and I was nobody. I'm still nobody. Um, and they kind of started all for me, and kind of one of those things where like once you have one, you start getting more. And that was kind of the catalyst where I started getting a fan base, and it was like maybe I should start posting a whole lot more. People were liking the content that I'm putting out, and trust me, I wasn't a good editor or anything like that. I had to learn across the way, and I made lots of friends. I have lots of friends all over the world. It feels like, I don't want to just say the United States, but I have friends that I've met from Germany and Ireland, and just you name it. I have people reaching out from Japan asking for stickers and hats and stuff, and um, it's crazy. But lots of these people that you meet in networking, they can give you tips and tricks that you're following that they might not even know you're a fan of them. And I've reached out and asked like, hey, how did you do this? How did you edit like that? How did you get it to look like this? And some people aren't always willing to help you, but it doesn't hurt to ask, and to see what they do. And I've used those tips and tricks, and now my videos I think are pretty decent. Posting every day, definitely a pain in the butt. Making videos and dedicating that time, pain in the butt. Having your phone out on job sites constantly, pain in the butt. But is it worth it? 100%. Nothing that's fun or it's good comes easy, and at least it shouldn't.
That's right. That's right. And so really you just learned and taught yourself over time, and probably with the same learner mentality where it's like, oh, the stuff that I do sucks anyways, and I'm just going to keep trying. But then it started turning really real, and really working. What was that like inflection like moment? Was it just you had people randomly messaging you, you saw those views blow up? Like, what was that moment when you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I am doing something right?
When other sponsors come in and then companies reach out to you, and some people ask like, how do you get sponsored by this or how do you get sponsored by that? Like, I'm a way better plumber than you, and I should be sponsored by these guys, not you, kind of thing. And
Mhm.
it's like, well, do it. I wouldn't reach out to them though and ask, like, how many people reach out to these guys and ask. Then I was like, if they're interested in you, they'll contact you. And
Yeah.
it does happen. They keep coming. So you got to be doing something right. What that is, I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure it's different for everybody. Um, some people make videos and they're really good at editing or whatever. They just got the eye for it. It comes naturally.
That's right.
Um,
Yep.
Sometimes I spend 3 hours editing a video, and I was like, this is the best video I've ever made in my life. And I post it, and it's got like 6 views. And then the next day, like I accidentally recorded something in my pocket, and I posted it, and it's got like a billion views or something. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
never know how the internet's going to work, and it's a little wishy-washy.
Yeah.
But
Sure. Sure.
posting is, I think, more important than caring about what it's going to look like or how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, and I think that's another great golden nugget, which comes back to like what you said originally early on in the podcast, which is that authenticity to it. And as long as you're just yourself, it's kind of like it will pick you, and if
Yeah,
you're doing that right thing, it'll work. And I feel like a lot of people sometimes they try too hard or they'll follow a trend and they're like, why is it not working? Well, because you're just kind of jumping on the bandwagon and everyone's kind of seen the thing and it's lost its like funniness. It's gonna be way harder to
right.
go viral than just creating something authentically and it works. Sometimes remixing those pieces can actually work well for your business. But from a like, do you get a lot of homeowners reaching out that are like, oh, I saw you on social media, or I saw your company, or I saw your guys on social media. That's why I want you guys to work on my project. Does that happen?
Yeah, all the time. Especially for Evan up in Sacramento. And if you know Evan Replum, he's massive. He has a huge social media presence, and that was really a big catalyst when we started our Sacramento area. That Evan had a lot of fans, and we get those calls all the time. Hey, we're requesting service, and we want Evan from YouTube to come and do the job, please. Or we want Jake got another flusher, or we want Ty from Modesto, and we get those calls and they come in, and it's a good feeling, because you already have that trust almost before you even get there. It kind of takes out that what if factor.
Yeah.
So you show up and you know that they're already happy to see you, which is a weird case for, we're a plumbing company. No one's having a good day when they call us, right?
Yeah.
Typically, there's normally a problem, and they're already expecting the worst when we show up. And to have them excited to see you when you show up, or to have some sort of excitement to call the mother flushing company, even if they don't know who we are on social media, we get that all the time. Like, hey, I heard you guys on the radio, and that's the coolest thing I've ever heard of. Like, it sucks, my toilet's overflowing, but I'm really glad that we got to give you guys a call because it was really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, that's a great side effect. And honestly, by having a great presence, you're able to overcome a lot of that initial I don't know, skepticism around like, can this person do the job? Are they even good? Do I even want to use them? You've already broken through all that. And it's just like, all right, I know they're there. They do the work. They're famous. Like they're going to do a good job. And then you just got to do the job rather than like trying to build the trust, really sell them on the vision of the company. You've already kind of like skipped a whole bunch of those steps. And I feel like with social media, you guys have been doing so well that you can just skip those steps, which, which,
Yeah.
which definitely helps.
We've talked about it on other podcasts as well. That it does help. Also with like it eliminates micromanaging because we already know that you're filming the job, and if I really had questions about it, I'll just look online later on and I'll see exactly how the job went. It kind of eliminates all that stuff. Plus, there's always projects that we have where footage is like mandatory. We have a lot of commercial jobs and stuff where you have to be taking pictures and footage and stuff, but we have it all. We kind of eliminated that problem of techs not taking videos and pictures on job sites because that's what we're doing already.
Totally.
Just naturally do it. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when it comes to using software and those kind of components and running your business, like how did you stumble upon Housecall Pro and what was like the thing where you're like, all right, now I got to use something that's, professional grade for my business.
that goes along with kind of the accidental company starting. I kind of didn't know really what it was supposed to be. I got my contractor's license because somebody said that, hey, I was doing side jobs, from friends and family were calling me and I was working for the military and they said, hey, can you change this water heater? Sure. Change the water heater. I posted a video, put it online, and someone told me, hey, you can't change water heaters because you're not licensed. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that, So then I went online and said, how can I change water heaters as a plumber in California? Oh, you need to be licensed. All right, great. Sign up, do the thing, you know, 3 months later, take my test. I'm not thinking anything of it. And then the next thing you know, I'm a licensed plumbing contractor. And I was like, great, I'm a licensed plumbing contractor. I can change water heaters now. And I literally didn't change a single water heater until I had that. And then I changed another water heater. And they're like, hey, you can't change that. I know you're licensed, but, and it was just somebody giving me crap, and they were like, but you don't have insurance. Like, what if you flood someone's house? And now you're going to lose your house. And I was like, oh man, you're right. So then I called up my insurance company and I said, hey, I opened up a business. Do you guys do business insurance? And they're like, no, but call these people. Called them. They're like, oh yeah, we'll get you business insurance. That's what you need. Did it. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll pay it. It's done. Next thing you know, I have a business insurance now. And someone else, I was like, oh, I want a receipt. I'm like, oh, I don't know how to give you a receipt. And I went to Staples and bought a receipt book. And had a buddy tell me like, oh, you should get like an online thing. Like the world's changing, this and that. And I was looking around, and I Googled like best online receipt people, and Housecall Pro showed up. And, I looked at a couple different ones and I was like, I just kind of liked the way Housecall Pro looked. And so I picked that one, tried it out, and I learned it, and I liked it. And I was like, wow, like I look super legit. And my whole thing starting off has always been looking bigger than I was. I've always wanted to give the aesthetic that we were a massive like corporation. And I wanted to, and it wasn't so much that I wanted people to think we were rich or something. I just wanted people to take me seriously because of the name. And I wanted people to think that we were the it guys. I didn't want to ever give people the wrong idea that I was just me in a van and I called myself Mother Flushers, and it started working pretty quickly where people were like, oh, I see your guys' vans everywhere. I'm like, oh yeah, like we're everywhere for sure. And It was really just me just driving back and forth on the road all the time, and Housecall Pro really did help with making us look a lot bigger than we were, a lot more professional, and giving the aesthetic that we knew what we were doing and we meant business. It wasn't just me writing things down, whatever I needed, and I pull it up through the back of the van when I was done,
That's right.
And even when answering the phones, I wasn't like, hey, what's up? Like it's Mother Flushers, how can I help you? I had a whole spiel from the get-go, from day one. And I was never, I wanted to eliminate because I really did want Mother Flushers to be a big company. So right off the bat, answering the phone, I wasn't like, hey, it's Jacob. How can I help you? Even though it was me on the phone, I didn't want to give customers the idea like, hey, you can call me Jacob and I'll answer the phone. They're always looking for you forever,
Yeah,
and
you'll never be able to escape. That's right.
You'll never be able to escape.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was always not Jacob when I answered the phone. It was always, someone else, or like, hey, I'm a receptionist. How can I help you? Like, sure, we're going to send a technician out there. His name's going to be Jacob. He'll be happy to help you. And sometimes I would get customers like, hey, you sound exactly like the guy on the phone. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, that's so weird, I've never heard that before.
I love stories like that because it just reminds me of like the early days of House Call Pro 2 and just doing all kinds of fun stuff. Just like that, where you're just multiple roles, same
Yeah,
person. And look, when you're small, there's if you want to charge, an honest price, a good price, when you come in buttoned up, you got the branding. It sounds professional. You got like a text that comes with like the picture of the technician on their way and like all these things. And all of a sudden, when you show up at the door, it's like you don't get a lot of price objections because someone's like, okay, this is a legit company. It's not going to be cheap, but it's a legit company. It's going to get done right, and that helps you just get so much further in that funnel than you normally would be able to by yourself.
right. And it helps when, especially if they've already had another plumber there and they're looking for a second opinion. It's like, hey, look, I know this guy was half the price, but we're not
Mm.
them. We're gonna do this like A1, legit. This is how it's gonna go down. And they'd be like, you know what, you're right. I already like you way better. Like, you just seem a lot more confident about what you're doing. I was like, I promise you, like this is gonna be the best experience of the plumbing company you've ever had. And that's up to you if you want to pay for it or not. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Just
Yeah.
let me know right now if you want this to get it done or not.
No, look, like that kind of attitude is great, and being outcome independent is what I like to call it. That just kind of gives off the like just that pure confidence. And when it comes to plumbing, I want to be confident it's fixed right because I can't tell. I don't know what's under the floorboards. I don't know what's under the street. I don't know any of those things. So like I literally the only thing I can do is like trust you. If you can build that trust quick, and just be like, look, yeah, it's more expensive, but it's going to get done right. You can go with us or go with whoever you want. But if you go with us, I promise it'll be best experience. That's such a great like tagline, and just being outcome independent. It's going to help you raise your average job ticket, charge more for what you're doing, and help set up your company for success later down the line.
Yeah, definitely. And we've had our fair share of problems. We've had callbacks too. No one's perfect, especially in
Sure.
plumbing. Like things happen. Sometimes bad part, we've had bad presses and stuff like that they fail and things happen. We've had customers freak out and they call us like, hey, like what the hell? This is bad. You guys are robbing me or whatever because something broke. Like, hey, calm down. It's okay.
Yeah.
Check it out. That's why you called us in the first place because we're legit, right? If you guys would have went with the other guys, they probably wouldn't even have answered the phone.
All right. Yeah.
But we're here to help you. We warranty all our work. We're going to take care of it. We'll send somebody right out. Well, it's plumbing. Things happen. And normally the comms I'm right down like, oh, you're right. Like, thank you guys so much for coming out immediately, answering the phone, and taking care of, owning up to it and taking care of it. We're never combative. Customer's always right. Take care of
Yep.
it. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Things happen.
That makes a lot of sense. What's like an underrated House Call Pro feature that you feel like doesn't get talked enough about that isn't necessarily like obvious?
And this is actually a recent one for me is time tracking. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Time tracking was actually a big feature that I never used before, and it's right on the front on any of your mobile apps. As soon as you go on it, it's right there, and I
Clock
never
in.
ever used it. Clock in, and we did have a problem because we are commission based, and we have employees that weren't necessarily keeping track of how long they were really there or really at a job, and we started implementing that more often, or like we just went gung ho. We're like, okay, we need to really keep track of this, and we're learning. We're learning business, and we already got bit in the butt a couple times. We're like, we need to figure this out, and how are we going to do this? And it wasn't hard because House Call Pro does it for you. We just weren't using it. So it was awesome just to discover that and be like, this is perfect. I don't need to like worry about it because we even thought about getting one of those boxes in the front door with a punch in, punch out thing,
Oh
and
gosh, yeah. Uh-huh.
like this is dumb. Like we have this. We have access to it right here on the app. It's the same app that everyone's already using.
Yep.
Clock in, clock out. So definitely an underrated feature. I'd say use it even if you're not worried about the time, just so you know how many hours you're spending a day somewhere. Even if you're a one man shop, you could utilize that and you could use that to figure out how much you need to charge an hour. If you're one of those guys that has to do those breakdowns and you're using one of those programs or something,
Mhm.
starting off, huge help to figure out how many hours you're putting in a day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially if you're trying to figure out your billable hour rates and those things, because you should be billing a rate not just when you're on the customer's doorstep fixing the thing, but like all the other time it takes to go get parts, go to the warehouse, like going to the jobs, coming back home, like all those other pieces. People are like, well, how can it be $300 an hour? It's not that it's actually $300 an hour. It's you space that
Right.
across all the hours that you work, and figuring that out. If you're not clocking in and clocking out, even if it's just yourself, it's hard to figure out, especially
Yeah,
for a
you
first
need to
time
know your
business
numbers.
owner. It doesn't make sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, you
awesome.
need to know your numbers. And those hours, they're going to mean something later on. I didn't know that at first, so there's a tip. It's one of those things you kind of pick up, and
I
if
love
you
it.
carry, you clock in and clock out.
Oh, we've had so many good tips. We're well over the 30-minute mark. But is there anything else you would tell baby Jake? Maybe 5, 6 years ago, fresh face, didn't really know what he was doing before he was even getting started. Like, what kind of advice would you give, young Jake, uh, still bushy eyed, still naive to the world? What would you be telling him?
Save your money. Make sure you save. Save for the problems. And I share this knowledge with everybody now. Actually, you're not hoping for the best. You're saving for the worst. You want to make sure you save your money, because those problems will happen. The slow days will come, and you're only going to make them through it if the fast days are going to come back. You just got to make it through the slow time, and you're only going to do that if you save and make sure you got the funds for it. Don't hire anybody unless you have their entire year of salary saved up. That's
Ooh.
another tip. You want to make sure that your employee is confident in you as his employer, right? You're not going to have good employees if they're not confident in your business that you're taking care of them. If they think that in the 3 months they're not going to have a job, how would you get a good employee?
That's
So
right.
make sure you save, and you're confident in yourself, and you got confidence in you.
So many good golden nuggets, Jake. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll definitely have to have you on again because I feel like you're full of like a million other nuggets
Oh yeah,
that we'll want to hear. But for everyone else that's watching, stay tuned for another special edition of the Super Pro podcast next week. Jake, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your wisdom. See you
yeah,
guys
of course.
later.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jake.
it, guys.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.